Welcome back to Judo Highlights. We've got a Grand Slam happening in Kazakhstan at the moment. It's always a good one every year, and I'm going to start with this big ippon here in the bronze medal contest at under 57. Just a massive sasai. I guess you could call it a nidan sasai because she does take 2 stabs at it with the foot. Really sticky on that ankle. Now we'll talk about under 60 first, and this is Saeev against Shamshadin. And this is great. We're starting to see this a lot more now with the rules. People trying to stand up from newaza and then they just let the action continue. And people are getting scores against people who stand up from the newaza. Now it was a wazari for Saeev there, and then he got the shime waza to finish it off. Now I haven't heard of him before, but he's got some brilliant techniques. Something about the Russian team, they just kind of send out new people all the time. Such a pool of talent. How about this Ochigari? That was unbelievable. Here's a nice drop down sode from him as well. Now he made it all the way to the finals, and he was up against Urian Basar. And of course, being from Kazakhstan, he had the crowd behind him. Now the final, it went into golden score, and I have to say this technique to finish the contest is absolutely beautiful. You see people do this, they kind of hook the leg, but Saeev, he does a wonderful job of just redirecting the weight. I won't call it an ochigari, I think that's sumiotoshi, but have a look at it again, it is quite a beautiful technique. So a silver medal for Urian Basar. And then we had his teammate here, Bakit-san. He was in one of the bronze medal contests, and his opponent was Lee from Korea. And in this contest, a wazari was enough to do it. This is the score here, Aseri Otoshi. At the 2-minute mark, so Lee couldn't come back from this. And then for the other bronze medal contest, another Kazakhstani judoka up against Jean. Gets a beautiful throw here for ippon. It's kind of that inside sasai that we're seeing people doing a lot these days. And this is Shamshadin, so he lost to Saeev, who took gold. But still though, for Kazakhstan, 3 medals in under 60, which is pretty good. Moving on, we'll talk about under 66. Just a couple of highlights from the earlier rounds here. This is a beautiful Uchimata Skashi. And now this next one from Qazaqstan, a good Hikikomi Gaishi. You'll see it in a minute, but watch Zu, watch his foot. Goes on the outside and he attacks the Kosodo. But they do give it to Qazaqstan, and that's just how things go. Now this next technique from Abdullayev, I have no idea what to call it. Ukiotoshi. It's not quite a front Uchimata. Let's just slow it down a bit because it was so fast. So you see Blue, he initiates with the Kosodo, and then the inside leg, sweeping the inside leg, Abdullayev. And then of course some amazing upper body control to finish the throw. Now he was up against Qazaqstan in the gold medal contest. And this contest does end pretty suddenly. Another nice piece of ashiwaza. So off the sleeve, and just countering that kochi of Qazaqstan with the ashibarai. Beautiful ippon. So pretty good going for Kazakhstan. 2 silver medals on day 1, but the Russians really showing their skills and taking the 2 golds. Now this was one of the bronze medal contests. We had Yotov against Unurbat, and a lot of U-calls in this one. Here's the second one, and then Yotov, he gets one of his own. Attacks the Kochigari here well, but not enough for Wazari. Not enough, unfortunately, so that contest ends there. Now the other bronze medal went to Chalolov from Uzbekistan, and so we're just going to go through some highlights at under 66 now. How about this Uranage from Yotov? This is Tololov from earlier on. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but Tilovov? Somebody, please, somebody from Kazakhstan, let me know. Here's another one from Qazaqstan, a beautiful kochi. And this is Kim. Really nice sequence here. Beautiful Kosotogake, but he didn't go through. We actually just saw him lose to Qazaqstan with that beautiful kochi. Now this one here, this is just the start of the contest. This is the first contest for Gambold and Nagauchev, and the first time they grip up, and it is a big throw. Actually ends up being Hansokumake though. So there, Gambold attacks the Kosologake. Naguchev tries to flip out of it, but because of the head diving, Hansokamake there. This next one I had to go to the Judo Wiki just to remember what this was. This is the Funakubo turnover, or the Funakubo gatame. Really nicely done, so I think I'm going to put this one on the Judo Wiki. Check that out if you're interested. And then this one here, it is a kataguruma I guess, but very awkwardly done. So next up we'll talk about under 57, and we're going to go straight to the gold medal contest because it was an interesting one. So Tamaoki against Mokhtar, Japan versus France.
Oh, nice.
And early on Mokhtar gets a wazari here for the Seirinage. And I was kind of surprised to see Tamaoki go over from this. And then she tries to get it back. There is a nice piece of ashiwaza. But I feel like if she kept her hands on her, she might have been able to get a score. Now it goes down to the ground here, a minute left on the clock. And Mokhtar looks for a little bit of newaza. But Tamaoki, she gets up and she ends up countering the position. And so very close to Osaekomi now.
This is not a good place for Mokhtar to be.
Just not quite there. Needs to secure the position. And she does eventually get it, but it's not the best looking Osaekomi in the world. Yuko goes on the board, 7, 8, and they wave it off. So Tamaoki gets a Yuko. 35 seconds left on the clock.
30 seconds left.
They do make a little bit of a mistake and give her a second Yuko. That's going to go away. So 5 seconds left, not enough, just 2 seconds away for Tamaoki getting that wazari that would have evened up the scores. So Mokhtar, she takes the gold for France, Tamaoki silver. Now at the beginning of the video from Nascimento we saw this massive Sasai, so that's how she won that bronze medal. Although here's another highlight from her earlier on, big Ippon Seirinage standing. So someone to keep an eye on, that's for sure. And the other bronze medal, this was won by Stark in the newaza against Kim. Moving on to under 52, and Balhas against Sanchez in golden score here, and that was enough for a score. What do you guys think? I think the initial landing on the elbow, it was straight up, you couldn't decide which side it was, and so they do give scores for that these days. So Balhas takes the gold, but Sanchez, she did have this nice clock choke on the ground against Neto in the semi-final, so I think she'll be happy with that win and the silver medal. Now for the bronze medals, we had Pereira. It's a little bit hard to see, but she does get a submission here in the newaza. Now it does actually look like Pereira is kind of cranking on the spine of Pup here. I mean, it could just be a sankaku, but you'll see after it comes off, Pup kind of pointing to her back a little bit. But they do give it to Pereira. And then on the other side of the bracket, a couple of U-calls in this contest. So here we have Neto from France against Caleta. Caleta getting a score. Neto just going too high on the thigh there for the Haraigoshi. Then the Ochigari here for Neto, she evens the scores. Just 7 seconds left on the clock. And then deep into golden score, they end up giving the Hansokamake to Caleta. So Neto, she takes the bronze. Hui gets a Yuko here with the low sore. And then there is a nice piece of newaza after this. Now, I'm not sure if the commentary gets this right here.
The Yaku Katagatame.
Gyaku Kesagatame, I don't think it is a Gyaku Kesagatame. It is some variation of Kesagatame, but I think the Gyaku Kesagatame is something a bit different. I do know the rollover is from the Matsumoto roll. But anyway, 48 Hui with gold. Giliazova for the silver. Ferreira, she takes one of the bronze medals with this technique here. So a Ferreira at under 48, a Pereira at under 52. And then I kind of wanted to make a point here. We had two Italians in the bronze medal contest, Scutto against Avanzato. Now, a little bit of a Yuko score here. And then what I want to talk about is they get up and they celebrate together. You know, a little pose, a little point to the camera. And this is okay because, you know, they're not disrespecting each other, but I think we should allow people to celebrate, even if they're celebrating by themselves as well. I don't think it's disrespectful, you know, a fist bump, a scream, a little run around the tatami. I think if we're going to allow this, then we should just allow all sorts of celebrations. Anyway, I'll see you guys for tomorrow. Peace.
You have to fight your training partner.